Okay, I am gonna share a little bit of my story, my testimony, but what they asked me to specifically try and relate and touch on is just the power of prayer. And we see every year we get to do this. I mean, you've got a group of men that come together, you've got these different communities of men that all come together as one big community. So man, I'm going to hope that I can encourage you not just the power of prayer, the importance of prayer, but also how important it is to have that community of men, of people that you're surrounding yourself with, that you're praying for each other, praying together, and just having that deep connection with the community. So I'm going to start when I was 2 years old. But when I was 2 years old, I was a sick kid and bouncing between doctors. I mean, when it got worse, ended up with an abscess on my liver. And my doctors in Abilene, they could not figure out, man, why is this kid keep getting sick, keep getting these infections? An abscessed liver is no joke, life-threatening. So my pediatrician had done some of his medical school studies in Houston at Texas Children's Hospital. So he's like, man, I'm sending you to Houston to Texas Children's. So I get to Houston, and some of the sharp medical brains down there that are used to seeing weird situations, weird diseases, they diagnose it. And they diagnosed me, it's a really long word, it's chronic granulomatous disease, but CGD for short. But when I was diagnosed, they figured I was around the 100th case in the world that had been diagnosed with that disease. So there was very little known about it at that point, very little data on it. But what they were telling my parents was the average life expectancy of someone with CGD at that point was 7 years old. So they send me home with the diagnosis. Now, I think they literally took my parents down into kind of the basement of Texas Children's. And I mean, there's God's fingers were at work so many places in my story. I mean, from a pediatrician that had connections to Texas Children's. I mean, that was not a coincidence. And so there's all these little things that happen, but I mean, I'm sent home with some medications. Hey, you're going to take an antibiotic every day because my blood did not kill bacteria. So people have heard of the bubble boy. Well, the bubble boy, that is, their bodies can't fight viruses. My bodies couldn't kill bacteria. So if I got a cut, anything where germs could get in my body couldn't get rid of it. So if I wasn't taking a medication that could kill the germ, I would get an abscess, granuloma, and it would have to be surgically removed or it could kill me. So leave Houston with this new diagnosis, got some new medications I'm taking, and about the time I get to, okay, I'm 6, 7 years old, man, I get put in a case study. And in that case study, they have me take an injection. I was taking a shot 3 times a week. Well, man, I mean, that turned out they still use that for kids with CGD. That case study I happened to get to be in ended up kind of being a wonder drug for CGD. It made it where, man, I was not getting sick as often. I wasn't ended up in the hospital as often. And so, once again, not a coincidence. And all this time, I mean, I grew up going to church in Abilene, Southern Hills. And that community, I mean, I remember some of my earliest memories. I can remember being in Bible class and the kids in Bible class praying, man, heal Hunter Hanner of his blood disorder. Heal Hunter Hanner of his blood disorder. And so constant prayers from the time I'm 2 years old of heal Hunter of his blood disorder. Well, I'm not healed, but I'm in this case study. I'm taking this shot. I'm going to kind of fast forward a little bit, but I mean, my parents, they let me be a boy. I remember our pediatrician, he told them, he's like, look, you can't shelter him from everything. So, I mean, I had a brother, we were 2 years apart. We were running buddies. We did all the things boys do. And I had some setbacks. I've spent birthdays in hospitals. I have spent well more than a year of my life in a hospital. And so I'd get an infection. We'd end up in the hospital, have to get the infection cut out. I've had multiple surgeries, neck, hands, arms. Got the good one on my side when they did the one on my liver. But I mean, I get through middle school. I'm playing sports. I get through high school. High school, I start dating a girl. It was Jennifer Hathorn. We start dating my sophomore year in high school. We date all through high school, end up at ACU. We're still dating. We're both at ACU. We dated 5 years. We decided, man, we've waited long enough, and we decided to get married after our sophomore year of high school. My wife, I mean, she's been part of this. We went to the same church. We're in the same youth group, high school sweethearts. She's seen the ups and downs, but she's also seen the prayer community around us. And she's been with me long enough. She's seen a lot of the answered prayers as far as knowing, man, gets this diagnosis. Here's the original life expectancy. He's doing well. He gets sick, but he's plugging away. But we get married. We graduate. We had our first son when I was 25. And we didn't talk about it a lot. We didn't talk about, hey, you've got this still really scary blood disorder that still there's not a ton of data on. I mean, at that point, they knew the only way you could cure the blood disorder was a bone marrow transplant. But we had looked into that when I was, probably, I don't remember exactly how old it was when they tested, but when I was 10, 12, somewhere in there, they were starting to do some of that, and they had tested my brother, and we were not a perfect match, and there was too much risk if you didn't have a sibling that was a perfect match. So we were kind of past that, and we didn't ask a lot of questions but we knew if you did ask, I mean, still about the best life expectancy number you would hear with someone with CGD was around 30 years old. But we were faithful. We firmly believed in God, and we had our first son when we were 25. Then, when we were 28, we had twin boys. So we go from 1 to 3 in a hurry. And at that point, I'm having the thoughts. I'm going, okay, I am 28 years old. I've now got a wife and 3 sons that are dependent on me. And what my doctors would tell me is my life expectancy is somewhere around 30. So we prayed about it, and we started asking questions with the doctors. Okay, we know the only way you can cure this thing is bone marrow transplant. We did not have any of our doctors that would 100% fully endorse the transplant because I was fairly healthy at that point. I mean, I had learned how to take care of a cut. I knew what I could do, couldn't do, took my medicine, took my shots, and they're going, man, you're doing so good, Hunter. If you do a transplant, I mean, transplant odds, they tell you, is you've got a 75% that you live through the transplant, and then the 75% of people that live through a transplant, 50% of them are going to have some chronic condition that they deal with the rest of their life. And so none of them would fully endorse it. So we just kept praying in our prayer, and we had a lot of people praying with us, family and ones that knew we were kind of kicking it around. But Lord, just open the door, close the door. Just open the door, close the door. And doors just kept opening. And I mean, one of the first things if you're going to have a transplant is you got to find a match. Well, man, they run me through the registry, and I mean, I popped several matches, and call the first. They get a hold of one of the first matches. Boom, the guy's in, and so we're like, man, here we go. This is going good. Well, doctors, there's different ways of doing a bone marrow transplant. There is one that is very simple for the person that is doing the donating, and there's one where they take it out of their hip, and it is not as simple, and it can be more painful. Well, my doctors decided they wanted to do the more extensive version, and my initial match backs out. And so, man, we're not in a good spot at that point because we've gone from this high of going, seeing all this, it's going to happen, the doors are opening. But they keep looking. We get a phone call, not much long. We didn't have to wait very long. Get another phone call. We've got another match. And this guy was in the military, and he was perfectly fine if it hurt a little bit, but he wanted to do something. If it was going to help somebody out, he was good with it. So I am now 30 years old, and we are going to Houston, Texas, to live in Houston for at least 120 days, and we're doing this. And so it's go time. So get to Houston. I have to take enough chemo. I take 3 rounds of chemo really fast, just back to back to back, because they've got to kill all the blood cells in my body. Because the way the transplant works is they pretty much kill every blood cell in your body, and then you get the new ones, and then it is pray hard that the new ones start working and doing their thing, or you don't make it. So get through the chemo. They take my donor gives his marrow in the morning it was April 26th. And he gives it in the morning in Washington, D.C., and that afternoon in Houston, Texas, I'm hooked up to a bag getting his bone marrow. And man, they tell you best case, 3 or 4 days. Well, that 3 or 4 days before any of your blood counts start coming up. So that first 3 or 4 days, man, you are a nervous wreck, and you were just praying, okay, they did the blood work. Man, please, God, please help the numbers be going up. Well, mine start going up. Well, we're 30 days post-transplant because they had told us we were going to be down there at least 100 days. Well, we're 30 days post-transplant. They're like, man, Hunter, you were like the poster child. You may only be down here 60 days. You're doing so good. And this whole time, back to kind of the prayer community deal, I mean, we've got our community in Abilene. My wife is keeping a blog at this point just to try and keep people updated because she's with me in the hospital. My transplant's going good, but I do not feel good at this point. I mean, I've had 3 rounds of chemo. You're wiped out. So she's taking care of me in a hospital, but she's blogging to keep people updated. I remember one of the cool things about her blog was you could see on a map all the different places in the world that people were reading the blog. And that is where the Christian community, we saw it firsthand. But you could pull up some of her blog posts, especially like some of those days where it's that 3 or 4 day stretch of, man, this either works or it doesn't, and he either makes it or he doesn't. I mean, some of those days in those blog posts, we had people, I don't know if it was every continent of the world, but just through the Christian network of someone tells their friend who tells their friend who tells their friend kind of deal. We had dots all over the U.S., South America, Europe, Russia. I can remember looking at the map and feeling encouraged by that, knowing, man, we got a lot of people praying for us. And And it does. And when you're in that, you're having those nights where you're like, I don't know if I can do this. Like, it's uplifting. It is uplifting when you've got people praying for you. But we're 30 days post transplant. Then I get bad sick. I've got systems fighting systems with immune system, and we're back to that. We've got literally the doctors in Houston going, we've never seen this before. We need time to figure this out. My brother literally came down to see me, sit with me when I was so sick that month of June. And I mean, they literally had conversations with my brother of, hey man, you need to keep him alive one more day because we need one more day to figure this out. And that was hard. I mean, it's hard on a brother being told, hey, you need to keep your brother alive. And then we laugh, me and my brother now, because he's sitting there and he remembers of things I would tell him about how I felt. And I mean, you just felt awful. But I was in the hospital for the full month of June. They did figure it out. My counts and everything got back to normal. It did delay us from going home in the 100 days, but we got back to Abilene 120 days, and man, I had a really good stretch because at this point, I am cured of my blood disorder. Like the bone marrow transplant, it's cured the blood disorder, and at that point, the only real complications I'm having post-transplant is I'd have my platelet levels would crash every once in a while. So I'd have to go get a bag of platelets, and I was taking a little shot in my stomach every once in a while. But in the grand scheme of things, for just to have had a bone marrow transplant, I'm doing really good. So go full year. We go back to Houston for my 1 year. We're there for my 1 year checkup. We're having a little family celebration. Gonna make kind of a party of it at Galveston. And I was doing good. I was having the platelet stuff, but I was starting to have a little bit of weakness. And I remember like there was just days that my legs wouldn't work quite right, but I'm also at this point that I'm like, I'm not going back in the hospital, because if you go back in the hospital, they're just going to tell me something's wrong with me, and I'm tired of being told something's wrong with me. So if the worst thing is my legs don't work every day quite like they're supposed to, I'm good. So we go all summer, and at this point, my oldest, Benton, is going into his kindergarten year. Go all summer through that. Get to kindergarten. We get 2 weeks. Me and my wife were talking about this the other day. I think we were 2 weeks into kindergarten. And at this point, I'm starting to have more weakness. And my wife's noticing we'll be sitting at the dinner table, and I'm reaching over and like literally having to use my left hand to pick my right hand up to pick up the cup of water. And I'm having all this pain in my legs and my rear and sleeping in a chair at night. And she's like, we need to go back to Houston. So we're not quite a year and a half post-transplant, go back to Houston. I get diagnosed with Guillain-Barré. And Guillain-Barré is a deal that eats the lining of your nervous system. It is a lot more common than some of the other stuff I've had. And so they've got, this is the designated treatment. This is normally how it progresses. So they keep me for a week. They give me the normal treatment. They send me back to Abilene. We get back to Abilene on a Friday. And I remember just the drive back to Abilene, I was a different person when we got home versus Houston, and not for the good. And it's like I was regressing again. Well, by Sunday, I'm having trouble breathing. So I'm going in the wrong direction. So I end up being care flighted This time they picked Zell Lipsky, which is part of UT Southwestern in Dallas, because they're a renowned nervous system hospital. And once again, this is where God just put the right people in my life that had the right connections to the right place at the right time. But I ended up at Zell Lipsky, and I was in the ICU for over 3 months. My body completely, I was quadriplegic. It got all the way into my brainstem. It ate the myelin sheath off my nerves to where I literally couldn't blink my eyes. They were putting quarters on my eyes. I'm on a ventilator. I can't breathe on my own. And there were multiple nights that the doctors were not sure I would make the night. There were nights that I remember having the talks with my dad. I didn't have the talks with my wife, but because I just didn't want to put it on her. But telling my dad, telling my mom, like, I don't think I can do this another day. Like, I am done. Like, I had the moments where you've got your eyes closed and like that deal of seeing the light. I have seen the light. I have had the dreams where you're like, I was right there. If I decided I'm ready to go, I could have gone. And the only reason that kept me fighting was, one, I had a picture on the wall of my family, and I remember my mom, she'd point to my wife and my 3 boys at that time. It's like, you've got to keep fighting for them. And I also remember the prayers. I remember prayers at night just begging God, like, God, I do not have the strength to do this another day. Like, send angels. I need protection. You've got to carry this load. I can't carry it. And some of those nights, I would wake up the next morning and it'd be like, oh, wow, I feel completely like I can do this some more. I'm back in the game. And I get off the ventilator. They're moving me to the rehab floor to start doing my inpatient rehab. Literally the day they moved me to the inpatient rehab floor, I get a GI bleed. And it's so significant. And some of it was, I was ornery. Once again, I'm tired of the ICU. I don't want that, because like, you need to go back to the ICU. I don't want to go back to the ICU. I just spent months in the ICU. I don't want to go to the rehab floor because I want to go home. So we probably waited a little long before we get to the ICU. Well, get to the ICU, one of the doctors that had been taking care of me in the ICU for so long, he's like, guys, he's dying. Like, we got to get everybody out of the room. He ended up with no x-ray, nothing help. He puts a central line in my femoral artery and they start giving me blood. But that was another night that it's like, man, we almost lost him that night. But they give me several bags of blood that night, a little while more on the ICU, get to the inpatient rehab floor, and at this point, I get to rehab and we're doing physical therapy on, can you pick your head up? And okay, then we're gonna make you sit up on your own. I had lost every ability to do anything physical in my body. But we're there. Oh, I think I was there 6 weeks on that rehab floor. And I told them, I'm walking out of here. I'm not taking a wheelchair home. Well, that was me. That was not what happened. I end up getting to go home, but I'm wheelchair bound. I require somebody to help me get in bed, get out of bed, go to the bathroom. All of those things. I still see my physical therapist. We celebrated 10 years, me and her, this year. But we walked the journey of learning how to roll over in bed, to learning how to transfer out of a wheelchair, to learning how to stand up, to learning how to walk again, all of those things. And So I am here tonight, and I know 100% that I am a walking, talking miracle. And I know that some of what has kept me going, kept my wife going, kept my parents going, kept our friends going through all of these ups and downs and unknowns is the power of prayer and the power of a community that's praying with you and for you. And I also know, I mean, this is a men's group, and this is where I'm going to encourage everybody. Like, men, we can be stubborn. We can be, oh, I'm a man, I don't need help. I can do this on my own. Like, and that deal of, no, I don't want to tell anybody if I got something wrong, or that's my problem, I'll fix my own problem. I don't need anyone else's help. Like, there is power in sharing your struggles, what you're going through. And it's not just the lows. Like, when you're on the highs, when you're having the celebrations, that's more fun too when you've got that group to celebrate with. And so I encourage everyone here tonight to, man, if you're going through something, if it's good, bad, anywhere in between, like, find a community that can be your community that you can be honest with, talking about what's going on in life, and pray for each other. Because it is irreplaceable. I mean, there is nothing like it. I'm gonna close this out with a prayer. And before I do that, we're gonna have a moment of silence. And in that moment of silence, man, I want everybody just to bow their heads, thank God for the blessings, talk to Him about, man, if there's something on your heart, a struggle, share Him. He knows what we're going through. He's our Father. He wants to help you carry that load. When it's too heavy for you to carry it, man, He's sitting there right beside you. He's never going to leave your side. I remember feeling that when I was in the hospital. I mean, there was times you're like, I can physically feel His presence. He is in the room. He knows I need Him. Like, He is there. But while we'll have about a 30-second moment of silence. And while we've got everyone's heads bowed, we're going to have a group of men kind of standing in the back. And if you've got something that you want to talk to somebody about, if you've got, whether it's a prayer request, whether it's, hey man, I've got questions about some of the stuff I've heard tonight. I want to ask these questions. I want to deepen my understanding, deepen my faith. If you're like, man, I've heard enough. Like, I want to get baptized. Like, man, hold your hand up. We got a group of men that are going to be paying attention, and when we dismiss, they'll come find you, and they're there to talk with you. And if you're like, man, I need a community to get plugged into, these guys are prayer warriors. They'll pray for you. They will make sure and find you a group of men, group of people that you know are praying for you. And then after that, I'm going to close this out with a prayer, and then we'll kind of be dismissed and everything will be over. We would ask that if anyone that is able-bodied enough to help snag chairs, tables, help put them in the trailer, that would be awesome. It helps the cleanup go much faster that way. But we are so happy that we get to do this every year as a group of men, a community that can be there for each other's good times, tough times, bad times, and just know that, hey, we're all on the same team. Well, let's bow our heads for that moment of silence, and then I'll close this out with a prayer. Dear Lord, we are so thankful that we can gather here on a night like tonight and enjoy each other's company, enjoy your company, enjoy the sounds of the creation that you made. And Lord, just to know that you are with us. You hear our thoughts, our prayers. You know them before they're spoken or thought. Lord, help us to be that friend that our buddies would come to and say, man, pray for me. I've got this going on. Lord, help us to be that person. And Lord, help us to look for opportunities where we can be Jesus to other people each and every day. Lord, I want to pray your blessing on everybody that came here tonight. Lord, I just bless them on their drives home. Bless them for the rest of this week, Lord. And Lord, I pray that you do give us all opportunities just to share the good news with others. Lord, we pray these things in your Son's name. Amen. Yeah, thank you. I may slide off the back.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's probably the better way.
Yeah.